The silence was heavy. Snow fell like ash from the sky, slow and endless. A broken human shuttle lay half buried under ice, metal twisted, smoke rising into the frozen air. There was no sound, no birds, no machines, no life. Only the wind, cold and cruel. Inside the wreckage, a man slowly opened his eyes. His name was Ethan Cole, a pilot from Earth. His suit was torn, face bruised. Red warning lights blinked around him. The shuttle systems were dying. Oxygen, 17%. Heat, critical. Backup power, offline. He groaned and sat up. "Is anyone there?" He said into his cum. But there was no answer. The crew was gone. He grabbed the small survival pack and pushed open the broken door. Ice wind hit his face like knives. He covered his mouth and stepped into the white desert dot. It was another planet, unmapped, unknown. The mission had gone wrong. A meteor storm had hit them before they could land properly. Now Ethan was alone on an alien ice world dot, and it was getting colder. He walked for hours, searching for heat, shelter, anything. His legs were tired, his breath short, his hands shook. Still, he walked. Then something changed. His scanner beeped. A heat signal. Faint, but real. He followed it over a hill, down a sharp slope, past jagged ice walls that looked like frozen teeth. At the base of the hill, he saw a small cave. The signal was coming from inside. Cautiously he entered. It was dark, but warmer. The scanner showed a body. Not human. Alive. Ethan raised his light. In the corner of the cave, something moved. It was a girl, or something like a girl. She had pale blue skin, glowing eyes, and thin silver hair. Her body was curled up, shaking. Her clothes were torn, not built for this cold. Her lips were purple. She looked at him, afraid. Ethan froze. An alien. Neither of them moved for a long moment. Only their breaths, fast and shaky. She tried to speak, but her voice was weak. Then finally, she whispered in clear, broken English, "Will you share your warmth with me, human?" Ethan's heart jumped. He didn't understand how she knew his language. He didn't ask. He only looked at her, freezing, small, alone, and something in him moved. He dropped his weapon. He stepped closer, slowed. The girl flinched. He raised his hands to show he meant no harm. Then he sat beside her. Carefully, he opened his emergency heat blanket and wrapped it around them both. Her body was ice, but she didn't pull away. For minutes, they sat like that. Two strangers from different worlds, breathing in silence. Finally, she whispered again. "I didn't think a human would." "Help me." Ethan looked at her. "I'm not like the others," he said softly. She closed her eyes. Outside, the wind screamed across the mountains, but inside the cave, for the first time, there was warmth, and it was shared. The cave was still. The storm outside had grown louder. But inside, it was quiet, like the world had stopped. The small fire Ethan made flickered weakly, barely enough to keep the cold away. But it was all they had. She sat close, still wrapped in the emergency blanket, her pale blue skin slowly losing its frost. Ethan looked at her. She looked human in some ways, but not quite. Her skin shimmered slightly under the firelight. Her fingers were long and thin. Her eyes were too large, too deep, like galaxies behind glass. He didn't even know her name. She hadn't spoken again since she asked for warmth. "Are you okay?" Ethan finally said, voice low. She turned to him, her eyes watching. "I will not die tonight," she whispered. "Because of you." He nodded. "That's good." Silence again. Then she asked, "Why did you help me?" Ethan hesitated. He wasn't sure how to answer, I guess. He said, "I couldn't just watch someone freeze to death." "Doesn't matter what planet you're from." She tilted her head. "Most humans would let me die." Ethan smiled sadly. "Most humans are idiots." She stared at him, then gave a small, dry laugh. It sounded like wind brushing across old leaves. Ethan reached into his pack and pulled out a protein bar. He broke it in half and offered one piece. She looked at it with suspicion. "It's food," he said. "Not poison." She took it slowly and sniffed it. Then, with hesitation, she bit into it. Her eyes widened. "You eat strange things," Ethan laughed. "Yeah, that's Earth food. Taste is optional." They both sat back, chewing in silence. After a few minutes, she spoke again. "My name is Vela," Ethan turned. "Vela," she nodded. "And you?" Ethan Cole." She repeated the name softly, like it was foreign metal in her mouth. "Ethan." There was a pause. Then Vela whispered, "Your people destroyed my world." Ethan looked at her sharply. "What?" "Years ago, human ships came. They mined our oceans, took what they wanted, left poison behind." Ethan's throat tightened. "I didn't know. Now you do." Another silence. Outside, the wind howled louder like a warning. Ethan stood up and looked deeper into the cave. He needed more wood, more heat, something to keep them alive through the night. But as he moved away, Vela suddenly tensed. "Don't go too far," she said quickly. Ethan turned. "Why?" She looked toward the entrance. Her eyes narrowed. "They smell warmth." Ethan blinked. "Who?" She stood slowly, her body still weak but alert. Her hand brushed the wall of the cave. "The ice beasts, hunters. They live in the dark. They come when heat rises." Ethan stepped back to the fire, suddenly cold again. "So, we're the target now?" Vela nodded. "If they find us, we won't have time to scream." He looked at her, then the small fire. The warmth that saved them could also bring their death. Ethan sat down, heart racing. "Great, so we're either freezing or food." Vela didn't laugh this time, she whispered. "We have until nightfall. After that, they hunt." Ethan checked his watch. 5 hours. Until sunset. He looked at Vela, then at the flames. Two strangers. One cave, one night, and something deadly waiting outside. The storm had passed, but the fear stayed. Ethan woke first. His back ached from sleeping on cold stone. The fire had died. Only soft white smoke curled upward. The air was heavy and still, as if the planet was holding its breath. Vela was awake too. She sat cross-legged, her eyes fixed on the cave entrance. She hadn't moved in hours. Ethan rubbed his eyes. "How long have you been sitting like that?" "Since the wind stopped," she replied. He followed her gaze. There were footprints in the snow outside the cave. Not his. Not hers. Something had come during the night. Ethan stood slowly. His body was stiff. He picked up the scanner from his pack and aimed it toward the prints. No life detected. Just prints. "Why didn't they come inside?" Ethan asked quietly. Vela's voice was low. "They don't rush. They watch. They wait until you forget they're there." Ethan stepped outside carefully. The snow was fresh and deep. The footprints were large, four-legged, heavy. No claws, just wide, flat impressions like hooves, but twisted. Each step was spaced far apart. Whatever made them was tall. He scanned the nearby ridges. Nothing moved, but something was out there. He returned inside and began checking his supplies. 2 protein bars left, 1 heat pack, no bullets. 1 flare, was still quiet. "You knew they would come," he said. She nodded. "Warmth always calls them. Then we need to move." She looked up. "To where?" Ethan pulled out his wrist pad. The map was broken still. He remembered something. "I saw a high ridge 3 kilometers north when I crashed. If we get to higher ground, maybe I can send a signal." Vela frowned. "High ground is open ground. No place to hide." Ethan looked at her. "Then we don't stop." She stood up slowly, wrapping the blanket around her shoulders. "We move before they do." Snow crunched under their boots. The sky was white, the ground whiter. The cold air bit at their skin. Vela moved quietly like a ghost. Ethan followed, carrying most of the gear. Every few minutes, he looked back. The footprints were behind them now, but others were forming. Fresh ones. Are they following us? He asked. Vela didn't look back. They're already ahead of us. Suddenly, the ground shook. A low rumble rolled beneath their feet. Snow fell from the cliffs around them. Ethan stopped. What was that? Vela didn't answer. Her face had gone pale. Then the snow cracked beneath Ethan's feet. Too late. Fell hard into darkness that happened fast. Snow, cold, silence, then pain. Ethan landed on ice. His leg twisted under him. He shouted, but his voice echoed uselessly. A crack above him showed the sky, distant and cold. He tried to stand but couldn't. His ankle burned. He pulled out his flashlight. The space below was a hollow cavern, long, narrow, and full of frost-covered bones. Animal bones. Human bones. Something was living down here. And feeding. He heard a soft thump, then another. He raised his light. Something moved in the shadows above. Vela dropped to her knees. Ethan! She pulled a glowing stone from around her neck. It lit up faintly. She placed it against the snow and jumped down. Her landing was smooth. She crouched beside him. You're hurt, she said. No kidding, Ethan winced. Help me up. But she didn't. Instead, she turned and faced the dark. It followed us, she whispered. Ethan's heart pounded. What? He raised his light and saw it. A shape, crawling along the far wall. Long legs, no eyes. Its skin was white and full of cracks. Its mouth was wide and sharp. Vela stood between it and Ethan. Stay down, she said calmly. The beast roared, shaking the cavern. Vela lifted her hand. A soft blue glow grew from her palm. The light pulsed, slow, like a heartbeat. The creature stopped. It hissed, backing away. Then turned and disappeared into the shadows. Ethan blinked. What was that? Vela helped him up, placing his arm over her shoulder. One of the small ones. Small? She didn't answer. They climbed slowly back to the surface, Ethan limping with pain, breath sharp in his throat. Snow filled the sky like dust. When they reached the top, Ethan collapsed. He looked at her, breathing hard. You saved me, he said. Vela nodded. Now we are even. The door was frozen shut. A smooth metal surface, half buried in snow, stood like a tomb at the base of a jagged cliff. Faded symbols. Alien writing ran across the surface. Ice had grown over the entrance like claws trying to keep something in. Ethan stood in front of it, breathing hard. His ankle still hurt from the fall. Vela stood beside him, silent. Her glowing pendant pulsed. Softly, you said this used to be your people's safe house, Ethan said. She nodded. Before the humans came. He looked at her, but she wouldn't meet his eyes. With effort, they pried the frozen door open. A loud crack echoed through the valley as the ice gave way. Inside was silence. They stepped in. The walls were made of black metal, smooth and curved. The temperature dropped. The hallway was narrow, filled with frost and dim blue lights that flickered weakly. Dust floated in the air like forgotten memories. Ethan's boots echoed on the metal floor. This place is old. It was one of the first, Vela said. A shelter, a laboratory, a memory. Ethan glanced at her. Memory of what? She didn't answer. In the next room, they found the first body. It was alien like Vela, but older, taller. The body sat slumped against the wall, arms wrapped around itself. Frozen, dead for years. A datapad lay beside it, covered in ice. Vela knelt beside the body and touched the forehead gently. My teacher, she whispered. Ethan felt a strange chill, not from the cold, but from the way her voice changed. She activated the datapad. A flickering hologram appeared, a recording. A voice spoke in Vela's native tongue, calm and tired. Ethan couldn't understand, but Vela translated softly. The humans are here. They don't speak. They don't ask. They only take. We warned them, but they don't hear us. This will be our last message if anyone finds this. Remember us not by our fall, but by our kindness. The hologram faded. The silence returned. Ethan felt guilt sink in like ice under skin. I didn't know, he said quietly. I thought the war was mutual. Vela looked at him, finally. For you, it was war. For us, it was survival. He lowered his eyes. I was just a pilot, he added. I never shot anyone. Never hurt anyone. But you wore the uniform, she replied. You flew the same flag. Her words weren't angry, just honest. That made them cut deeper. They moved deeper into the facility. Old machines lined the walls, broken now. Blue crystals glowed faintly in tubes. Strange. Maps filled the screens, showing other worlds, other stars. Vela paused at one screen and touched it gently. This was our future, she said. Ethan walked beside her, looking at the maps. Why didn't your people fight back? We did, she whispered. But your people had no interest in listening. Only winning. A distant thump echoed through the hallway. Both of them froze. Ethan raised his flare. That wasn't the wind. Vela grabbed his arm. We're not alone. They turned a corner and found another body, but this one was human. Ethan dropped to one knee. A soldier in a damaged Earth combat suit, face frozen. Oxygen tank empty. A blood-stained patch on his chest read, SGTT, Harmon, Recon Unit. He was part of my mission, Ethan said. We must have crashed at the same time. Beside the body was a broken comm unit. Ethan picked it up and turned the screen on. A message flashed. Primary objective, extract alien host dead or alive. Vela saw it. Her expression darkened. You didn't come here by accident, did you? Ethan stood, heart pounding. I swear, I didn't know. But even he wasn't sure anymore. A deep roar echoed again, closer now. The hallway lights flickered. Ethan looked at her. We need to go. Now. Vela didn't move. She stared at the message on the screen, as if it hurt more than the cold ever could. Was I just a target? She whispered. Ethan stepped closer. No, not to me. She looked into his eyes, searching, testing, and maybe for the first time. She believed him. We have to move, she said. The ice is waking up. They ran through the frozen halls, past old ghosts, toward the light outside. Behind them, in the dark, something very old had begun to stir. Blood on snow never dries. It just freezes. Ethan saw it first. Thick drops trailing across the ice, leading behind a cracked ridge not far from the old alien shelter. The wind carried a sharp iron smell. He knelt beside the blood and touched it. Still fresh. Vela stayed a few steps behind, her eyes narrow. Is it one of yours? Ethan didn't answer. He followed the trail. They climbed over a ridge of jagged stone. At the bottom, half buried in the snow, was a wrecked Earth escape pod, standard issue. Its hatch was broken. Steam hissed from the cracks. A flare had been fired recently. Someone had called for help. Someone human. Ethan approached. Carefully. His hand reached for his small sidearm, the only weapon he had left. He hadn't used it once. Until now. He might need to. Inside the pod lay a soldier, blood soaked through the torn armor. A thick piece of metal stuck through his side. One leg was missing below the knee, the stump wrapped in cloth. His skin was pale blue from the cold, but his eyes were open. He recognized Ethan. Skoll, the soldier whispered. You made it. Ethan dropped his weapon. Harmon? It was SGT to Harmon, the name from the datapad, now alive and barely breathing. Ethan knelt beside him. Hold on, we'll get you help. No. Time, Harmon wheezed. Listen, Vela stayed at the entrance, watching. "She's with you," Harmon said, staring at her. "It's one of them." "She has a name," Ethan said, firm. "I don't care what she calls herself." Harmon's voice turned hard. "Mission hasn't changed, you and I. We were sent here to bring one in. She's not a threat." "You? Sure about that?" Ethan didn't answer. Harmon's face twisted. "She tricked you, didn't she? That's what they do. They look helpless, make you feel sorry, and then bam. You're dead. Your whole crew is dead, just like mine. She saved me," Ethan said coldly. "Twice. Yeah?" Harmon coughed blood. "Ask her how many humans she's watched die. Ask her what she really is." Behind him, Vela spoke. "I am the only one left of my kind." Harmon grabbed Ethan's wrist with surprising strength. "Don't listen. She's the enemy." "She's a survivor," Ethan said. "No, she's bait." Harmon pointed to his own communicator, blinking red. "I called in an evac. They're coming." "But they won't take her alive." Vela turned to leave. "Wait." Ethan called, but she didn't stop. "I understand now," she said. "This is your people's way. Save one life, destroy another." Ethan followed her out. The sky had turned darker. The clouds above twisted like bruises. Vela stood near the cliff edge, facing the wind. "You think I'm a weapon," she said softly. "So did your friend." "You're not." She looked at him. "Then why do you hesitate?" Ethan didn't answer. "I don't blame you," she said. "We're all built by our pasts. Yours was war. Mine was loss." He stepped closer. "Maybe we could build something different now." She looked at him, unsure. Hope and fear danced in her eyes. Then behind them, the sound of an engine. A small Earth shuttle appeared in the clouds. "Rescue," a dark shape coming fast. "They're early," Ethan said. Vela's face hardened. "Then this is the end." She turned to go, but Ethan grabbed her hand. "No." She looked at him. "What are you doing?" He opened his pack, pulled out his last flare. "I'm ending it my way." The rescue ship landed nearby. Two soldiers jumped out in white armor. Guns raised. They aimed at Vela immediately. "Step away from the alien," one shouted. "Now!" Ethan stepped in front of her. "No." The soldiers hesitated. "She's with me," Ethan said. "She's not dangerous. She's the mission. I don't care." The lead soldier's voice grew cold. "You're disobeying orders." "I'm making a choice." He dropped the flare on the ground and activated it. It blazed bright red. The signal was sent, but the meaning was different now. He wasn't signaling capture. He was signaling mercy. Later, inside the ship, the medics worked on Harmon. Still half alive, Ethan sat beside Vela in silence. No cuffs, no weapons. Just silence. No one said a word. Maybe the war wasn't over, but something inside them had begun. The sky broke open. Not with rain, not with light, with ice and silence so sharp it felt like sound. The wind had returned, faster than before. But this time it wasn't just a storm. Something moved with it. Shadows, tall and slow, drifting between the snowflakes. Ethan stood at the edge of the cliff, staring at the horizon. "They're coming," Vela said behind him. He didn't ask. Who? He knew. Inside the rescue shuttle, the two soldiers argued by the door. SGT Harmon was unconscious, wrapped in blood-soaked gauze. "Command says extract the human only." One soldier barked. "She's not even resisting," the other said. "She saved a man's life." "Orders don't change just because you feel something." Vela stood quietly outside, not afraid. "Just still." Ethan turned to her. "They won't take you." She looked at him. "They already have everything. Else, I won't let them." She raised her hand and pointed toward the ice fields. "You don't have to stop them. Nature will." Ethan followed her gaze. The ice was cracking, not from weight, but pressure, as if something below had woken up. Hungry, Vela stepped forward, slow and steady. Her pendant glowed. "This is the heart of the frozen ones." "You warmed it." Ethan gripped his weapon tighter. "I lit a fire to keep us alive." "And now they smell the smoke," she said. The ground beneath them began to shake. From the horizon, shapes emerged, ice beasts. Tall as trees, bone white. Faces covered in layered plates of ice, with mouths that never stopped moving. Dozens of them. Marching. Get back in the ship. One soldier yelled. Ethan didn't move. "Those things'll tear us apart." "They're not after you," Vela said. "They're after me." She turned to Ethan. "They think I've betrayed the cold." Ethan's voice cracked. "You didn't betray anything. You survived." She smiled softly. "And I want you to do the same." Then she began walking toward the ice beasts, alone. "Stop!" Ethan shouted. "Where are you going?" She didn't turn around. "If they take me, they leave you. I didn't come this far to watch you die. You came this far to choose who you are," she said. The wind picked up. Snow spun like smoke. The ice beasts came closer, moving in strange, slow patterns. Not animals, not machines. Something older. One soldier opened fire. The bullets vanished into snow. No effect. Another tried to run back into the ship, but the ice cracked under his feet. He screamed as he fell. Gone. Ethan ran toward Vela. The ground shook harder. A frozen ridge split open. One of the beasts emerged from beneath it, massive, ancient, and beautiful in its horror. Ethan fired his last flare. The bright light struck the beast's chest and exploded into warmth. The creature screamed, not in pain, but confusion. Vela reached Ethan and pulled him close. "You carry fire," she whispered, "and they fear it." Ethan looked at her. "Then we burn brighter." Together, they ran back toward the shuttle. The creatures hesitated. The firelight made them pause. One step, then another. Until the storm stopped. The creatures turned and walked back into the white. The cold retreated. The sky cleared, not with sun but silence. Hours later, the shuttle lifted off, broken but working. Inside, Vela sat wrapped in Ethan's coat. The soldier who remained said nothing. He had seen too much. Ethan stared out the window, eyes on the frozen world below. "You think they'll follow?" Vela asked. "No," he said, "but they'll remember." She smiled weakly. "What will you tell them, the ones above?" Ethan thought for a moment. Then he said, "That I found someone in the cold, and she showed me what warmth really is." The stars looked closer now, maybe because the cold was gone, maybe because the war was too. Ethan sat on the edge of a steel bench inside the orbiting medical bay. His hands were bandaged, his side burned where shrapnel had cut him. His face was pale, but alive. He looked through the window, down at the frozen world below. It looked small now, quiet, beautiful, not a battlefield. A memory. Behind him, soft footsteps approached. Vela entered the room, wearing earth clothes that didn't quite fit her. Her hair had been cleaned. Her skin glowed a little warmer under the station's artificial light. "You're awake," she said. Ethan smiled. "I didn't plan to be." Vela sat across from him, folding her hands. She watched him like someone trying to remember every line of his face. "They said you stopped breathing after the rescue," she said. "I did," Ethan replied. "Then I heard your voice. And I remembered the fire." Vela looked down. "I almost left you, but you didn't." "No," she whispered. "I answered with my heart." Silence passed between them, not cold, but calm. Outside, stars moved slowly. Then the door hissed open. 2 officers entered, one in gray, the other in blue. Serious faces. "Military posture. Pilot Ethan Cole," one said. "We've reviewed your mission report. And your unusual decision," Ethan stood. "Is that what it's called now?" The officer didn't smile. "You disobeyed direct orders. You interfered with a classified extraction." "I saved a life," Ethan said. Actually, 2. The second officer looked at Vela. We should detain her. For study, Ethan stepped between them. She's not a test subject. She's not human. No, Ethan said. But maybe that's the point. He looked from one officer to the other. You want to know what I learned down there? He asked. No one answered. So he told them anyway. I learned that being human isn't just about species. It's about choice. And sometimes the most human thing you can do is show mercy to someone who never expected it. Vela stood beside him now. Not hiding. Not afraid. Just real. Just seen. The officers didn't nod. They didn't argue. They simply left the room. And that was enough. Later that night, Ethan found Vela by the observation glass, staring at Earth. It was bright and round, covered in clouds and light. So that's your world, she whispered. He nodded. Home. Do they know? Some do, he said. More will. She placed her hand on the glass. I wonder what it feels like to belong. You already do. Vela looked at him. Her eyes were soft, not glowing. Just honest. I was made of ice once, she said. I never believed fire could love me back. Ethan took her hand. It can. Somewhere on the planet far below, the last storm was sleeping. In a cave. Ashes from an old fire still rested on the stone, and across galaxies, 2 species had stopped running, just long enough to listen, just long enough to share warmth. Final. Voiceover, optional for YouTube. In the coldest places, you don't survive with weapons, you survive with choices. And sometimes, the one thing stronger than fear is the heart that chooses to feel.